What's up? I'm Jared Harris, and you're listening to episode 60, the big 6-0 of Beats by Jer, brought to you by Dropout Entertainment. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Avalon Stone, a rising star from Kitchener, Ontario. Having made her debut in 2023 with a string of singles, Stone is hot on the release of her debut EP, Meant to Break, which dropped just last week. The record is a hard-hitting collection of 6 songs that pull equally from 90s grunge and modern rock. Additionally, Stone has shared the stage with no shortage of legends, including Big Wreck, The Beaches, Danko Jones, The Trews, and many, many more. Here is my conversation with Avalon Stone. Avalon Stone, thank you for joining me today on Beats by Jer, and congrats on the release of your debut EP, Meant to Break.
You. Thank you so much. I can't believe it. It's so great to have an EP out.
It's an incredible EP too. Like, what a powerful debut statement to make.
Thank you. Thank you. I've worked hard on it. It's been basically a collection of songs that I've finished and made in the last couple of years and just like pieced together as like to tell the story of who I am. So
Yeah, I think it shows. I think it feels like, it's got that very heavy, hard exterior, right? It's a hard rock record, but it
yeah.
feels very vulnerable. It feels very authentic. It feels very personable in that sense.
Thank you. That's what I try to do.
Before we talk about the record, you're making big waves in the Ontario independent scene, despite being a fairly new artist. Can you give the listeners a bit on how you've gotten to this point, almost like a highlight reel of what has
Yeah.
gotten you to this EP?
Yeah, sure. It actually has been a very long process, even though I've only been performing as Avalon Stone for almost 3 years now, I think. Um, but I've been performing live since I was 10. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, been like professionally since I think 12, with different bands or like joining other people on stage or releasing like little singles here or there, like with other people. Just kind of trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do. And so I basically did that for a long time and was in a cover band, played blues, played blues fests, went to blues camp, went to School of Rock.
Mm.
Um, I just like did all those things.
Was all
And
of this as like primarily as a singer or a guitarist or both?
a singer, I played bass in blues camp,
Cool.
actually.
Cool.
So I started on bass before I picked up a guitar, but then I realized it's much easier to write songs on guitar than it is on bass. So switch that out. Um, but I always loved bass. It was always like it was my first instrument other than voice. So
Mm.
very cool. But yeah, so I did that for a long time. And then when I was ready to break out into my own thing, I kept looking for resources. I kept looking for places to learn how to do this and how to
Mm.
make it sustainable. And I still am. I still do that all the time.
I think
So
I think as independent artists, like
I have
we're
to.
always like you have to be looking, you have to keep your eye out. You're
Hmm.
always in a state of learning.
Exactly. You have to be because you have to keep up with the times. You have to
Mhm.
keep up with what people are doing that are doing what you want to do. And how can I implement that into what I'm doing to get to
Hmm.
where they
Hmm.
are, right? And that's like podcasts, same thing, you know? So, um, but I went to Canada's Music Incubator in Toronto for a couple of months. And I basically learned the ins and outs of the music business, like all the things you kind of need to know. For example, what's a business manager and a manager and a booking agent? What do they all do? What are their responsibilities? What does a label do? What does
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
label what is a good label deal? What is a bad label deal? What do you want to do versus what you don't want to do? Like risks, rewards, how do you make money? How do you be improving? What are the other resources that I can continuously use after I've left the program? I also joined a songwriting community, so I did that for a while and wrote with some really amazing people, found out, asked them questions. Most of what I've learned is from asking people questions or having mentors, and Canada's Music Incubator and things like podcasts and what I've read. But mostly it really is word of mouth, being in an environment of people that I admire and asking them things.
That's great. That and for any like independent artist starting out or even not starting out, like that is just all of that is excellent advice to keep in mind.
Honestly, I have to keep telling myself this because it's not just for people who are starting out. And I'm still like
No.
starting out, but it's also for people who are just stuck or need help with something.
Yeah. And
There's so many resources.
I think what we've learned, I mean, the music industry is always moving and music is always changing and the way we present this is always changing, but it's changing faster than ever before. Um, and I think what we're learning more so now than ever is like there's no one way to do it. Um, and it's kind of just important to keep your ear to the ground.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah. Because you can learn the basics. You can learn like how it mostly functions as a whole, but all of the other stuff that is more unique to artists, like a different artist is going to want to do different things than another artist, right?
Hmm.
So you can learn like big picture stuff, and that's so valuable, and you should know your rights and you should know what everybody does in the music industry, and you should have a really firm grasp of what it looks like and how it runs as a business as a whole, um, as much as you can, because it is a business. You can learn as
Of
much theory as
course.
you can listen to as many songs as you want. You can practice guitar or practice singing as much as you want, but if you don't know how it works, if you don't know how to write a good pitch, if you don't
Yeah.
know how to write a bio, if you don't know how to cold email someone, if you don't know how to ask for connections from your like present connections.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
for sure.
mm,
So between like Canada's Music Incubator and kind of that period of trying different things and playing in blues camp and sound of rock and different cover bands,
yeah,
how do you said you were doing all that to kind of find yourself as an artist. How do we get
yeah.
to the point where you start releasing singles in 2023 as Avalon Stone? How what is it that at that point you determined that you had found yourself, your artistic voice?
Well, I think I had I had already written a few songs before I released anything. I mean, obviously. Um,
Hmm, hmm.
I had written a few songs.
You mean the first song wasn't the first actual song you wrote?
Yeah, it's trial and error, right? Like I I had to, but I think it took me a year and a half of figuring shit out before I actually stopped or started releasing music.
Mm,
Um, because I wanted to have a firm grasp on what I wanted it to look like. I didn't want to start and then have to pivot immediately. I didn't want to start and then not be able to follow it up with anything
mm,
or, be able to continue that momentum. I wanted everything to have intention and I wanted everything to have value. So I had a few songs finished before I released Forget You, in, yeah, 2023 October. And yeah, it was just a whole, like, I had to figure it out. And part of that was I went to CMI earlier that year, uh, and kind of figured a lot of it out there. Learned a lot of things that helped me kind of make a plan of what I wanted to do. I remember I was sitting in a room learning how to produce vocals with this guy named Jordan Astra. Great artist, great person, and he he was showing me how to layer vocal stacks so that even, in recording studios, I know what's going on. I
Mm.
know what all of that kind of stuff looks like. I know what to do. I know what the vibes are, right? And I was like, well, yeah, well, I have a few songs that are written that I'm really excited about, and I want to release the first one like really soon. And he was like, why? And I was like, oh, because I want to have something out. I really want to have something out there. Like I want to start. And he was like, okay, but what's more important, starting or keeping going at the same rate that you start,
That's
having it
such an
move?
important lesson.
And it's I was like, I don't know, because I was like, I was like, you know, I can release something. It's not a big deal. And he was just so right. He ended up being so right. And it stuck with me because I was like, oh, no, no, no. I can't just release something without a follow-up plan.
Hmm.
Uh, to do what? What's the literally why,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Um, so between 2023 and 2024, you released five singles. Forget You, Harder, Drag Me, Shaking Me Up, and Cliffhanger, all really cool songs.
Thank you.
Was there ever any intention, speaking of a follow-up plan, of putting those out as like an EP or something like that? Because none of these songs,
Originally,
for the listeners, none of these songs appear on Meant to Break.
no, they don't. Originally I was gonna make it a full album because again, I was like, I just really want an album. I really want to release an album. I'm an album girl. I have a bunch of vinyl. Love putting on an album and listening to it. Um, but then again, why?
Mm,
Just so I can put out an album? What what would it do for me? What would that do realistically? So it was a whole thing where I was so stuck on this idea that I wanted to release an album, and I had to have so many people basically tell me, no, don't do that. And I kept being like, I can do whatever I want, it's like my music, I can do whatever I want. And they were just like, right, again. Like it takes convincing because I'm a
mm,
very stubborn person, but I really wanted to make an album just the same way as I really wanted to put a single out. I just wanted to put a song out there.
mm,
My manager, Jeff Nedza, he was the leading force in being like, Avalon, there's no point.
mm.
There's no point in releasing an album until you have something that completely blows people's minds.
Yeah.
And at first I was hurt by that because I was like, what do you mean? Like, my stuff doesn't blow people's minds. He's like, no, it's really good. Your stuff is really good. The problem is, I know you can do better.
Mm,
I know that you keep getting better at a high rate, like like every time you do something, you learn something. And this goes for everybody. Every time you do something, you learn something, you improve in some way, blah, 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 right? So why would my first releases ever as an artist in this day and age show up on an album?
hmm.
My debut album.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't make sense. So he was right. He was right. And the more that I write music and the more that I have finished products that I'm like, screw the other stuff. This is so much better. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I see what you mean now. I see what you mean because just as much as my stuff that's out now is, I think I'm very proud of it.
Mm,
I'm very proud of it. I think that it's a great representation of my skills at that time, and it's a great representation of who I am and what I want to say. But skills improve. So, yeah, I wanted to do an album. I eventually will do a full length, but only when it makes sense because I do want to have intention with everything that I do. And the first time I do anything, I want to blow people away with it. And I think that's something that really stuck with me.
Okay. I think that's a good time to transition to Meant to Break. Um, because it's a really, really great record, really
Yeah.
powerful release. Um, can we talk about the writing behind this EP?
Yeah.
And just to clarify, where the original intention with the previous five songs was a full-length album, were these all kind of written from the same chapter, or was the original five written, recorded, and you were kind of like building up to an album and then you started anew with what
I would
becomes Meant to
say
Break?
they're similar eras. I would say they're the same era.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, especially Into the Rain and Mirage
Mm,
and The Edge are all basically the same era. To Earn Your Love, I wrote when I was 15. And we released that one because everyone goes crazy over it live and it's really fun.
mm,
Uh, so that's what that was. And Cleanse Me and Nosebleed are definitely the ones where I feel are a little standout personally in my taste and how I want to move forward. They were written at later times than the rest of them, but they were all still like in the same vein of time in my life,
sure.
kind of, or what I want
Sure.
to say at the time. Cleanse Me is a little different. Cleanse Me is breaking out of the sad stuff and saying like cleanse me from all of that.
Mm,
All of the stuff that I've been through, all of the stuff that I've written about is still very true to me, still very true to me, but I think there's power in saying like there's moments where I don't fully align with it anymore, which
mm.
which is good, which
That's
is
good. Yeah. That's good for growth.
evolution. It,
That's good for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to say that I don't still stand by what I said in every single one of my songs. I do, but evolution is so important. And everyone always told me, Avalon, you have to write a happy song. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to write a happy song. I don't want to do that. Like, that's not what I want to do.
Mm.
You need to write a love song or something. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, no. Again, stubborn. But then I did. And I wrote a song about how love or like a good relationship or a good time can take you out of that for a moment and erase stuff that has been done previously,
Mm.
or at least like heal you a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think basically I was so focused, I've been so focused on like breaking. Like my EP is named after the line in The Edge where it says maybe
Mm.
we're meant to break, and it's about a really toxic relationship. Uh, and you're just saying maybe we're meant to break. Like this is not it. And then it was also me saying maybe I'm meant to break. Maybe I'm the one that always has to break over and over and over and over again to make good art, to show up,
Mm.
sing and perform that good art. Um, And that's basically what the EP is about is maybe like I'm meant to break. Maybe we're meant to break. Maybe I'm meant to be broken. Um
That's like a really profound way of looking at where does the creativity come from and where does that voice come from and questioning if that's like truly the only place in which that it can emerge from.
exactly. And that's
Mm.
where I was stuck. That's exactly where I was stuck because I I was always like, well, if I'm ever anything else, then I won't be able to make what I like to make. That's not true.
Mm.
So many facets, and it's important to evolve. it's important to evolve while still tr staying true to yourself. Like I still feel like I'm that person. I probably will always feel like that in some capacity or the other,
Mm,
but it's not to say that I can't also feel other things and say like, something bad happens, makes great art, sure. But if
yeah.
something good happens,
I
that's
think
true.
musically cleanse me, like to me, uh, more often than not, when a hard rock band writes a happy song, it often feels super cheesy,
Yeah.
right? They write these like happy melodies and these happy progressions, and then they're like, well, we're still heavy, so we have to crank up the distortion, and it
Hmm.
feels so for lack of any word really to describe it, it always feels kind of like a 2000s movie,
Like
fixing the
Hallmark.
house. Yeah, like fixing the house montage, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not get that vibe from Cleanse Me. Like
Good.
at
Yeah,
all. Like it totally avoids the cliche like heavy happy thing. Like it feels very authentic musically, but lyrically, of course, it's talking about that sort of revival almost. Uh,
yeah.
it's a super
It
cool
is.
song.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that because that's what I was afraid of when I was writing a happy song. I mean, you could call it happy. I would say it's not like super happy. It's just more like
Reflective, almost.
it's reflective, also a little sassy, cheeky, a little sexy, a little bit like, you know, fun.
Mm,
Um, but not in, I don't know. But it's also real and true and very vulnerable and very authentic. Because again, the line in the chorus says, "Hold me when I break,"
mm,
and that has a few different meanings, but it's also that's why the EP is called what it is, because maybe you're meant to break in this way or the other way, and you can decide what that means. So the whole thing was about being broken and breaking, but sometimes to be able to rebuild, you need to break first.
mm,
So that's kind of where my brain goes, when I think about evolution, how I want my music to evolve. But yeah, like I definitely didn't want it to sound cheesy, so I tried to avoid cheesiness. And it's not completely a love song. It's just to me it's like kind of sexy, It's like that's kind of what it is. And that's a part of myself that I've been scared to share with the world because for some reason it's easier to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm really sad all the time," than it is to like lean into that other aspect of myself.
mm.
For some reason, I don't know. But now that it's out, I feel so like I don't know how to explain it. Just
Mm.
kind of powerful about it because it was something that I was scared to do, and now I've done it, and I feel really good about it. So, yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Um, so we talked about the writing a little bit. It's kind of just all over the place in terms of different era, like same era, but different periods of
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about the recording behind the record?
There was so much, like they all were recorded at different times.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Other than drums, we recorded a lot of the
Mm.
drums at the same time.
I
I
mean,
think
once you set up the kit and mic it, you might as well.
so. We had the batch,
Yeah,
had the batch for a while.
yeah.
Um, worked on worked on the songs with my band, Caleb Bourgeois, Tyler Shea, and at the time, Donovan McKinley was on bass. Now we have Dylan Barrett, all incredible people. My producer was Kevin Dietz. Chris Demas mixed it and mastered the EP, and working with all of them was just such a pleasure. It
Mm,
was it was the perfect. I worked with Kevin for my first five as well, so that's why I was like it was all one thing.
yeah.
I wanted to make 10 songs,
Hmm.
but again, I didn't know what to do with them. So then when I found intention, I could split it up further. But I mean, it was a process. It was a process. I was still learning how to do things like before my scream and nosebleed. I didn't know how to scream
That was such
healthily.
a, I actually have in my notes like that scream at the end of Nosebleed is fucking sick.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was wild. I didn't know how to do it. But it ended up being just something that I'm so psyched about because it's exploration and I always wanted to go heavy.
Mhm.
And I want to go heavier and going heavier in the future. Um, and I think it's just that song for me is a turning point where it feels it feels different in a sense that it feels unique to all of the obviously unique to all of the other ones in a way where it says something in a really heavy it's just heavier.
Mm. It
To
was my
me it's
favorite
more,
song on the record.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's one of mine as well. It wasn't one of the singles because it's not it is just different. It's heavier.
Mm.
It's to me it's more of a Silver Side Up Nickelback
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So we're stoked about that with all the slide stuff and and just trying to make a song sound super dirty and give off and grimy and heavy and give off the essence of somebody who's dying
Mm.
of being poisoned. Basically, that's what the song's about. And that song, Nosebleed, is it's about being in an environment where you're poisoned by it. You just can't grow. You feel like you're slowly dying. You don't recognize yourself anymore. Um, and that could be a person, that could be a place, that could be really, or your own brain or wherever. But basically, yeah, it's about being poisoned. And because the nose, like when you in movies, when a character gets
You're
poisoned,
about to be like, you know, when you're poisoned, like,
you know when
you
you're
know.
when you're poisoned, someone is poisoning you. Yeah. In movies, when someone's poisoned, you can tell that they're poisoned because their nose starts to bleed before they die.
Yeah, that happens often. Yeah. I
Yeah.
never realized that that was like a trope until you said that, but yeah.
Yeah. It happens all the time. It does.
Yeah.
It's so that's what it's about.
Mm.
It's the moment where you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
realization. Yeah.
die.
You're done.
So yeah, so that's what it's about. And we really wanted to try and convey that. So the scream at the end is very guttural, like
Yeah.
showing like how true this is, like how angry I feel about being poisoned by where I am in that moment.
Yeah.
So, and just like people trying to take things away from you, uh, because they feel entitled to it and reducing you and poisoning you by ideas or words or actions and that kind of thing. So that one to me is the most guttural out of all of them. The rest feel pretty in a way. That one doesn't feel pretty to me.
But there's still like, I mean, it comes near the end of the scream is at the end of the song. It
Yeah,
comes that I think it's the second last track on the record.
yeah,
Um, and it still kind of comes out of nowhere, despite like you say the other songs are pretty, but like they're hard hitting, they're heavy. And
yeah,
like, that song just really takes that heaviness up a notch.
exactly. Yeah, it's the one where I feel like I pushed myself the most. Probably because I didn't know how to scream. And I did it once when we were working on the song. And I remember my drummer, Tyler, he literally stood up. He was like, if you don't do that on the recording, I'm not going to play on it. Like, oh, like, was it good? And everyone's like, yeah, what the hell? Do that. And I was like, okay, well, now I have to learn how to do this.
Mm.
So, you know, it was just a process. Everything was a process. The bridge of Nosebleed, I did it all in one take, and it's funny because it was definitely not the first take. Definitely that one was the hardest one to sing to
Mm.
get completely right because it is very all over the place. And I think I was sick that day. And we went to go record it. Oop, something fell over. Anyway, we went to go record it and I was in the vocal booth. And I was getting so mad because I just couldn't get it right. I could not get this bridge part right. It was pissing me off. And there were multiple people there. Um, and I was just like really getting down on myself because I was like, this is my job. Why can't I sing? And, sometimes it just nerves or if you're sick or whatever.
Mm.
And then I took a little break, took a breather, and I must have sang that bridge like 30 times.
Mm.
And then one take. I remember finishing it and going like, and then I literally saw everybody who was sitting on the couch walk up, look over at me like, and I was like, hell yeah, hell yeah, we did it. So it was such a rewarding process because I did keep pushing myself. I kept pushing myself over and over and over. Same with To Earn Your Love. It was hard. A lot of them were difficult because, you know, I hadn't sang them enough times or whatever. Um, and I used to have red light syndrome, and I still have red light syndrome, where as soon as it starts recording, my voice goes, nope, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay. So, yeah.
Cool. Cool. I know you mentioned Cleanse Me and Nosebleed as some of your favorites on the album, but do you have like a definitive favorite?
It depends on the time. It
Uh,
really does.
what about right now?
Right now, it's Nosebleed. Probably you can tell by
Yeah.
the way that
Yeah.
I'm talking about it. Um, just because I don't know. I don't know why. I And it's funny because I ask other people what their favorites are, and all of the answers are varying.
Mm.
And I get people saying like, Nosebleed is really growing on me.
Oh no, for me it was immediate.
Yeah,
I listened to the album like in order, obviously. And I was like,
same.
this is cool, and that song just came out of nowhere and I was like, that's the song.
It feels like the song to me too. It
Yeah.
does. It really does. It Cleanse Me does as well. Cleanse Me was the one where I was like, I feel like this is just a good song. Like this song,
Mm.
I think could really
Yeah, the chorus
get
hook
it.
is great,
Thank
right?
you.
Especially when the instruments drop out towards the end of that and you say the song title, super
Yeah.
powerful belt there. Like that's a hook right there.
Thank you. I worked really hard on that one. And I think the execution to me, I think it just came out just exactly how I was envisioning it in my head, which I'm super proud of. I love all of the songs on the EP, but yeah, I don't know. Nosebleed and Cleanse Me have definitely a special place in my heart. Nosebleed has an extra special place in my heart.
Mm, cool.
Yeah.
I don't normally ask a lot of questions like who inspires you? Because like those are to me like those are the questions like every interviewer asks. But like
Yeah.
you did drop the Nickelback,
hmm
uh, the nod to Nickelback, and
Yeah.
we've entered this place now where suddenly it's gone from cool to hate Nickelback to very uncool to hate Nickelback. Like it's almost cringy to say you hate Nickelback now. And Nickelback
Yeah.
was always good. I was once a Nickelback hater, and then like my singer was like, "Dude, just listen to it again." And I was like, "I was such a fucking idiot." Like, they're great. Um, but that being said, right, it's cool to like Nickelback now. I don't
Yeah.
hear many artists citing them as like, when they're saying like I'm going for a vibe. So it made me curious, like, what are some of the musical touch points behind this record?
There's so many. I mean, when I wrote Turn Your Love, I was 15 and I was listening to a lot of Rush and Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. And I would say those are some of the major influences on that song. It's very proggy, so that
Mm,
was doing it at that time, and I still love to do it sometimes. It's really fun to deviate a little bit from the norm. and it's super fun live. And what else? Cleanse Me, I actually wrote with my friend Kelsey and Corey, and they're a country writing duo. And so I was
Interesting.
like, yeah, yeah. I was like, let's figure something out. Let's write a song. I actually also wrote Mirage with Corey as well, and this woman named Taz, and everyone I've worked with is absolutely lovely, and amazing. And uh Mirage was Fleetwood Mac desert heavy,
Mm,
kind of a little bit.
okay.
Um
I
it's
could hear
it's
it.
interesting because like
I wouldn't have said that, but I can hear it now.
it's just it's more of the vibes.
Yeah.
With like cashmere, Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin vibes as
Like
well.
kind of exotic, definitely in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah,
But not like 90s desert slash stoner rock type thing. Like
no,
it's a
it was very,
different desert.
yeah, it feels more of a like empty
Hmm.
desert. So that's kind of what I was going for. A lot of it wasn't musical influences. A lot of it was like I wouldn't reference things, if that makes sense, in
Hmm.
writing sessions, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't. It was just kind of what does the song want? And so in terms of sound, for producing and mixing, I was like, I wanted to have the vibes of 90s rock and like Nickelback, Silverchair, Audio Slave vibes,
Hmm. Hmm.
Chains vibes, but I want it to sound modern. I want it to sound like all the modern rock that's coming out right now in like the best way, in the way where it's like a combination where it's kind of modern mixing and older production, older style.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I wanted, because I'm so obsessed with both modern rock and 90s rock. So yeah,
Sick.
yeah,
Um, so beyond the album, over the last couple of years, you've played with some huge artists. You've shared the stage with so many different people.
yeah.
Big Wreck, The Beaches, Glorious Sons, The Trews, and so many more.
Mhm.
Um, are there any shows that especially stand out to you?
Hmm. That's a good question. Hmm. They're all so different in so many ways. There are shows that I remember more than others
Mm,
in either capacity, whether it's a dive bar kind of situation like Bovine Sex Club, or
that is the best
it
dive
is the
bar to
best.
play.
It is
Absolutely.
the best. The sound, whatever, the vibe. The vibe
Absolutely.
is there.
Immaculate.
Yeah. So I remember one time I was coming home from Spain the same day that I was going to play a show at Bovine Sax Club for North by Northeast, actually,
Mm,
I think. I think. And I think I went on stage with 20, with what? I was awake for 26 hours before I stepped
mm.
foot on stage. I literally woke up at 6 a.m. Spain time, which is midnight our
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then I went on stage at midnight, so 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't nap or do anything like that. And I remember feeling so jet lagged and so exhausted
Mm.
that I literally threw up in the bathroom before I went on stage.
Wow.
Right before I went on stage. Literally put my guitar on and everything, took it off, handed it to Caleb, my guitar player. I was like, please hold this. I'll be right back. Went to the bathroom, did that. And then somebody was like, oh, you're not at the bovine if somebody's not throwing up in the bathroom. And I was just like, I'm not even drunk. I'm just really tired. And then, and then I went on stage right after.
Mm.
Like took a swig of water. I was like, well, the show must go on. It is
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And then I was so out of it that, and it was fun. Like it was packed, sold out. Like you couldn't, it was sardines in there.
Yeah.
And you couldn't move around at all. And I was having a blast. It was going really well. I could tell enough that it was going well. And I looked down at my guitar, which at the time I was wearing a white guitar, and it was just, there was blood on it. I was like, and I looked at my hands and I was like, oh no, I have blood on my guitar. And then I, after the song, I was like, I think there's blood on my guitar. And everyone was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
was, that
rad.
felt to me like the most rock star moment I've had yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, like even if
Yeah.
I've opened for all those people, like those shows have been so incredible because I'm just in awe of the people that I get to play with. And usually the
Mm,
stages are amazing and I get to run around on it. And like we opened up for Danko Jones a month ago and it
mm.
was amazing, incredible show. So many people. It was awesome. Um, but I still remember that show just because it felt the most, I don't know, cinematic, movie-esque. I don't know, just fun,
Yeah,
interesting,
that sounds
you
really
know?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a crazy moment for me. And I still think of that as one of the best shows that I played just because I was like, I can do hard things. Like I can do that. I can go from one country to the other, fly in that day, play a show on no sleep, and throw up right before and bleed all over my guitar and still have a blast.
That
And
sounds like rock star shit to me.
exactly, I was like, well, I must really love this, like, because I'm obsessed with this.
Mm,
My None of my responses were like, oh, I can't believe I have to do this. It's like I can't believe I get to do this still. So,
mm.
even after all of that happened. So it was just like, wow, that
Amazing.
was a cool moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what does the rest of 2026 have in store?
I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out. I know that I'm playing in Brazil in
I don't
May.
know, just Brazil. I don't know.
Like, I can't believe I get to play in Brazil.
That's
I can't
insane. Yeah.
believe I get to play in Brazil. I'm so floored. I'm so like in awe of that opportunity. I try not to like be too like there's no way because I feel like no, I feel like I earned it.
Of
I
course.
feel I want to also take that time when I have a big moment like that to say like I did the work to get here. But there's also so much of me that is like I can't I can't believe it. I
Mm.
don't know what's happening right now. So yeah, I mean I'm just absolutely so excited for that. We're working on building the live show to be really really pro working on new music right now. Just finished up in the studio for my next project, which I'm very excited about, which I will also be putting out in this summer. So,
Nice.
going on. Very busy.
Yeah, talk about a follow-up plan.
Yeah, intention, right? Intention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm not gonna just put something out without anything to follow it up. So that's what I'm working on. And that's going incredibly well. And we have a few shows booked. We're playing with Lansdowne in Toronto and Waterloo, which is they're an American band. They're great. They're going on tour with Nothing More this year.
Cool. Cool.
So that's going to be super fun. We're playing Lee's Palace and Maxwell's concert house, and it's gonna be awesome. Super excited for that. Playing a couple festivals this summer, and yeah, really trying to. It feels like a transition year. It feels like I don't completely know what's in store for me
Mm.
this year, um, but I'm trying to take it as it comes and stay focused on what matters and really starting to look at everything as does it fit into the plan? Does it fit into what we're trying to do because now, my team is bigger. I have a manager and I'm signed to a label and, you know, um, I'm always trying to add on and ha there are so many helpful people that are helping me plan what I'm doing with my career and where I want to go and how to get there. Basically, I know where I want to go. It's just, I need help getting there.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's great. And I don't fully know, which is scary, but it's also kind of exciting.
yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to whatever is next, especially this summer project. Um, the final question that I like to leave guests with, what are your three desert island records?
Ooh, ooh, that's a good one. That's really good. Shoot. What do I listen to all the time? Probably Dirt, Alice in
Mm.
Chains, Silver Side Up, Nickelback, and hmm, something modern. Ooh, Keep Me Fed by The Warning.
Oh yeah, that's a cool one too. I'm not
Yeah.
as familiar, but
Yeah, I love them.
Dirt is ugh, one of
Dirt
my
is
favorites. Yeah,
amazing. It's
one
so
of my
good.
favorites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Avalon Stone, thank you very much for joining me today on Beats by Jer.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into my conversation with Avalon Stone. Meant to Break is available now via all digital music platforms, and you can follow her at Avalon Stone Music or hit up her website, avalonstonemusic.com, to stay in the loop. Tune in just 2 weeks for another all new episode. I'm Jared Harris, and this is Beats by Jer.